Blessings. It's Baraka, the doula scientist. Thanks again for coming on and checking out my channel and checking out just my whole story. I love talking about psychedelics. I love talking about birth. I love talking about food. So everything that is a part of our seven chakra system essentially is everything that I'm about. I also understand that there's a deep, profound connection to our spirituality that is related to modern day science. So here is some things that I really wanted to share with you guys, like with all of my knowledge, all of my wisdom, everything that I have learned in my processing of all kinds of different things. And so one of the things I really wanted to share with you guys today was something I am learning as psychedelic birth. So we have all of these like built up like understandings of what psychedelics are, as well as what birth is. And unless you have experienced birth, it's not something that I can just completely give you enough information to understand. But using different types of tools, obviously, we are able to put everything in a big package and give you examples based off of like other people's experiences. So I wanted to share my experience with you guys today about how I had a psychedelic birth. I'm actually getting into this book. I started it when I was pregnant. I actually, a lot of people know because I've kind of announced it like through Instagram and Facebook and all my other social media platforms, but I transitioned my child, Raja Barakallah, on December 1st, 2020. Me and my partner went on a road trip and stayed the last night of our trip in the first earth ship ever made in Taos, New Mexico. And I went into preterm labor when I was 5 months. And so this catalyst in a lot of ways in my life has just gave me all of these profound understandings, you know. A lot of people, obviously, I've mourned and gone through the entire thing with depression and feeling like, you know, I wasn't getting everything that I needed at that time. And so I've gone through all of those phases, and it's a continuing phase, to be honest. Like, it's not something that is just going to essentially just melt away. It's something that is always going to be a part of me, and it's something that I am always going to be growing through and transitioning in. I think a lot of people kind of look at these complexities, right? All of these transformational moments in our lives, and we're like, wow, like, how am I just not depressed? And it's like, well, I mean, that's a part of it. Like, you experience all of the emotions. Going into preterm labor is giving birth. I gave birth to a child. You know, I went into labor, I breathed through it. You know, all those things are still very essential. So, long story long, I am reading this book called Psychedelic Mysteries of the Feminine. And so it's a very interesting book. It is written by, it has like multiple essays and like excerpts by different authors, like in the psychedelic and the herbalist community. A lot of people, for everyone who doesn't know, I actually am an herbalist as well. And I worked on farms for like 4 years. And so a really big part of my entire philosophy of life is creating this foundation within your nutrition, right? So, yeah, I wanted to kind of share this piece that I was reading, because going back to what we were talking about with the psychedelics, you know, having transformational experiences is something that, like I said, you experience all of the spectrum of emotion. And so I wanted to get more into the facts of what's actually happening within your brain. And like, I think this book, this like part of this book that I'm going to read to you right now, it really addresses that experience. So I'm going to read it to you guys. A little bit from Psychedelic Mysteries of the Feminine. And so this chapter is actually called She Who Births, the Psychedelic Nature of Procreation by Alana Bliss. And so here we go. The process of birthing is initiated by a protein being released from the baby's lungs, which results in a cascade of other biochemical reactions. Progesterone and estrogen flow into the mother's bloodstream and increase her uterine receptive sites for oxytocin, a hormone that stimulates contractions while also relieving pain. Oxytocin could be considered a love or touch hormone because it is present during sexual activity, orgasm, birth, and breastfeeding. It increases when we are touched. Oxytocin helps us to forget ourselves, our challenges of individual self, and fall into a sweet feeling of bliss, given that it triggers the release of serotonin and dopamine. This creates a feeling of disassociation with ourselves and our stories. Oxytocin is released every 3 to 5 minutes once labor begins and begins to flood the body, creating a heightened state of intimacy and trust that can deepen the loving bonds between partners and with the baby after it emerges. Another hormone is released that increases this feeling of love. Phenylethylamine, PEA. Some consider this to be the hormone most associated with falling in love because it elevates mood, mental activity, attention, motivation, alertness, creativity, awareness, energy, stamina, physical activity, pleasurable feelings, sexuality, and sensory perceptions. It also amplifies the strength and effectiveness of other neurotransmitters in the brain, such as dopamine, for a feeling of well-being and pleasure. People keep calling me. And serotonin, better emotional mood and impulse control. Last, the most underexamined biochemical that many people believe is released during labor is DMT, otherwise known as the spirit molecule. DMT is a psychedelic substance produced in the pineal gland that is released during birth, orgasm, and death. DMT peaks during birth, both for the baby and mother, and is also released in smaller amounts at the beginning of REM sleep, lucid dreaming, and meditation. DMT gives a sense of connection with everything, a sense of cosmic unity. Amazonian tribes have been using a plant mixture known as ayahuasca for over 5,000 years in ceremony to access the DMT experience. And so basically, like, people, what I got from that was just like that we have, like, going back to transformation, right? You have these transformational experiences where you're with people and things happen to you, and sometimes you're just alone, or you're not, like, you're never ever alone. So it's such a powerful feeling to understand that these transformative experiences, right, are just like a big profound part of us basically skyrocketing into the next part of our lives that we're meant to be on. That being said, people ask me, they're like, you know, I've been talking to all kinds of different people about our experience, like transitioning our child, and some people will ask me straight up, like, hey, what was it like? And you know, the best way that I can sum up like the experience of that transition was that it was psychedelic. You know, I was born like on a full moon, and my son was born on a full moon. It snowed. There were these feelings of, you know, it's interesting, like thinking about like what they were talking about with DMT being released in like orgasm, and like it's also released in small increments like when you're sleeping. And so to think that those processes occur in these profound moments where it's unexplainable, I kind of feel like I experience dying. I kind of feel like I experience having an orgasm. I kind of feel like I experience being asleep. Like, even thinking about just all of the little details of that experience, it is really crazy for me, you know, to think about, because it is the full spectrum of emotion, and it is the epitome of being able to experience this place that creeps away from you. And so I am a person who have tried like a lot of psychedelics. I have done LSD, I have done mushrooms, and I'm an avid cannabis user, and I feel like these experiences, they are opening these pathways to your brain in the exact same way that when you have a transformational or psychedelic experience, you are changed forever. Like, and I also feel like in that same way, it's like the experiences are just trying to teach you about how emotional that is in those small moments as well. Like, we have all of these small crazy moments. Like right now, I'm sitting here talking to you guys and giving you guys this understanding of like what a psychedelic birth is. And I'm sitting here at this tree here in Austin, and it's my favorite tree in the entire fucking world. And we actually ended up cremating our son, and we put his ashes in this water. And right before that, when we were still carrying him, we did this epic like photo shoot here with one of our really close friends, Sinitra. And so this place is like, it's spiritual and in all of its glory. And so I just feel like understanding a psychedelic birth is like understanding what it means in the scope of birth to open those pathways and have this whole other experience outside of anything that you ever imagined. But hey,
you remember me?
God, I am really blind. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see you.
From the photo shoot. Shut up.
That is so funny. What?
How are you?
I'm great.
Listening to myself on Remarkable, I'm like, wait, I know her.
Do you know what's so crazy about this moment?
What?
I am doing a YouTube video.
Shut up.
I swear to God. I swear to God. I'm doing a YouTube video.
I'm telling you, the universe is crazy.
So that has got to be one of the top 10 craziest moments of my entire life. So yeah. So Jacqueline and Lisa, I did a photo shoot with Lisa, Lisa J of Lisa J Makeup, and I met Lisa J as well as Jacqueline Rose. And so I was explaining to them about how, you know, insane I felt about the fact that I really wanted to do a YouTube channel, but I don't exactly like the way I talk, which I'm learning talking to other YouTubers and talking to just other people who do a lot of these, I guess like influencing and things like that. No one likes how they talk. So anyways, she just ended up kayaking by. So we're going to do a video on synchronicity next. So that's that. But anyways, I wanted to take with you as we like close. I'm going to wrap this up about the psychedelic birth, but I want you to understand that having a psychedelic birth, number one, it means transformation. It means being intentional about your present, being radical about being intentional in the present. So every moment, like you're experiencing the pain. I remember waking up, my contractions had started going like every 2 minutes when we were transitioning, and it was like every single contraction just gave me this feeling of like my body was working. It was working, and I felt it. Like my great grandmother used to always say, like, the closest to death you'll ever get is like having a child. And I actually have a 6-year-old as well, and I remember both moments of going into labor with Raja, which is my last son that we transitioned, and going into labor with Noah, which is my son who's still here with us earthside. And those moments are so magical. They are, the pain is it really connects you. It humbles you, you know? And so being able to have that experience, and then being with my lover as well, it's so crazy. Like, we had put so many intentions into the moment. I mean, even though we weren't ready for him at the time, you know, we weren't ready. We didn't think we were ready anyway, right? Because I don't believe that I just don't believe that you're never ready, you know? Like, you don't have situations come into your life that you're not ready for. You invite those situations into your life based off of your vibration and based off of how you are living and experiencing and how intentional you are choosing to be. And so in that same space, I feel like when we lost our son, like it wasn't something that we weren't ready for. It was something that we had opened the gates for, because we needed to grow, we needed to transform. And so experiencing the many spectrums, right, of emotion, that's psychedelic. Having this connection, whether you are dreaming or climaxing or dying, whether you're giving birth, like having all of those understandings in that one moment is psychedelic. And that's what a psychedelic birth is, right? We said that we were going to have our son early. It's so crazy. Like, it's so crazy. We said we were going to have him early. We said it was just going to be me and him. We knew it was going to be a crazy experience having a child together. The only thing we didn't realize is that all those things would come true just earlier than also what we imagined. So it's such an interesting thing that happened. But it was just, the intention was always there, you know? Like, we knew our son was going to be born on a full moon. It's insane. I'm at the tree that we cremated our son. Well, we didn't cremate him here, but we had him cremated, and then we left his ashes here. And you know, our son's due date was March 25th. And so that was last week. And the first night of the full moon in Libra, which was a few days ago, we came out here and lit this beautiful bag that our neighbors, who actually, they had their baby over the weekend, and they got pregnant the same time we got pregnant. And so they gave us these beautiful lanterns to light, and they rise up into the sky. And so I'll show you guys that later, but we ended up lighting it. And Sean was saying, it was just me and Sean, and we were just looking at the full moon, and he's like, you know, we're not saying goodbye. We said goodbye to him already because we left his ashes in the water here. We're really just saying hello. So I thought it would be appropriate to do this video here at this tree as a way of saying hello and sharing the experience of the psychedelic, not just with you, but also with the other worlds that I'm connected with, that we're all connected with, especially if we are just intentional enough to pay attention.